We're now going to tie an Adams variation fly. And just like every other fly we've done, we're going to start with dark thread. We'll be using black here, but if you have a brown, that'll be great. We want to start 1/16 of an inch from the eye of the hook. We're going to begin wrapping the thread all the way down the shaft of the hook. Now it can hold on its own here, so we're going to trim off down to about 1/16 of an inch off the thread. Get it as close as you can without messing up the other thread. And continue wrapping down towards the bend in the hook. Again, this is just for friction for all the other stuff that we're going to be putting on the hook. And we're about at the bend, so we're going to drop the bobbin. And you'll want to grab your pheasant feather now and look for about 1/4 of an inch that you're going to trim with your scissors. So this is a good barbule patch to use here. And we're going to place it towards, we want the tail part of this to face the tail of the hook. So you'll lay it on where your thread is. This part's a little bit tricky, so just go slow. If you mess up, just start over. I'm going to kind of rest it on the vise here for extra support. And then I'm going to wrap it in with the thread. So if you can get a few wraps around it, it should be enough to secure it. There we go. And we trim off the excess pieces of the pheasant barbules. So if you kind of push them back towards the tail end of the hook, that'll help pop them up. And it doesn't have to be super tight here, just enough to get rid of the excess. And we can fix these and how they point at the end, but the important thing is that they're attached. So now you want to grab a very little bit of the green dubbing. If you did the rockworm before this, it's going to be even less. And we're going to do tinier bits, but a little bit more of them. So we also want to kind of clump them even before we put them on for this particular fly. Because the body of this we want to be a little bit more bulbous than the rockworm. So I'm going to attach it to these fibers on the thread just by twisting them. Use some saliva. Out of all the tutorials that I've seen, a lot of the experts say that adding dubbing is one of the most difficult pieces, so just be patient. And we're going to wrap it back in. Try to cover the tail end of the pheasant feather. And we're going to be pushing the dubbing towards the eye of the hook. And if it separates, that's okay. The dubbing is strong enough by itself right now. So what we'll do is I'll take my hand and wrap it around it. And then I'll use the thread to go back over it to secure it in. And now that that piece of dubbing is secure, I'm going to cut off this excess that's separated. And this is the type of fly where we want a lot of excess pieces kind of hanging off. So like I said, we're going to add a little bit more dubbing to this. Just take a little pinch. It's maybe even too much. Clump it together before we even put it on the thread. That's pretty good. And then now we'll attach it to the thread. Use some saliva. And we're really going to make that thick part of the body come to life here. So again, it looks like the dubbing's kind of separated here, but the beginning of it is in. So I'm going to use my hand to secure it in. Just wrap it around. I'm going to pull that out towards the side and use the thread to secure that piece back in. There. Now I have that excess piece. I want to keep this a little bit further away from the eye of the hook, so I'm going to go ahead and trim that off. And now you want to grab your hackle pieces. You'll have two different colors. You want to use both. And you're going to find the stem of the feather, which will be the thickest part, and just pull the barbules up so they really flare out. And you want to pinch off the edges of them so we have just the stem of the feather sticking out. You want to do that also for your other hackle. So we'll start by attaching the grizzly colored hackle, which is your striped one that you have. And you want to lay it in right over where this needle, or where the thread is. So tie it in like you would anything else, a few wraps. It's important that these are tight though. Once you have the first one in, you want to take the second one and lay it right on top of where we just tied this thread on. All right, now we want to trim off the excess stems of the feathers of the hackle pieces. And we want to take our thread and start just threading down closer to the eye. Keep a 1/16 of an inch space. And this will be used in the end to secure the hackle once we wrap through. So we're going to start first with the grizzly hackle, and you're just going to wrap it around. You'll notice that all the barbules will start flaring out. Just do some semi-close spacing in between them. Until you reach the black thread. Then you'll take your black thread and do a few wraps to secure the end of this hackle piece in place. Right above the eye. It's going to be about a 1/16 of an inch again away. Your first hackle piece should be secured in there. And you go ahead and just trim off this first piece of hackle. Now we'll take the other colored hackle you have, whether you chose brown or white, whatever it is. You do the exact same process that you did with the grizzly hackle. And you'll start wrapping towards the eye of the hook. Until you get about a 1/16 of an inch away from the eye of the hook. And then you'll do the exact same process of wrapping the black thread around it to secure the end of the hackle in place. Just a few wraps and it should be in place. And then you'll trim this hackle piece off. And now we just need to thread it on. So you'll take the line straight, create a little loop, and pull that towards the eye of the hook, and then just tighten it. We'll do that a few times. And we'll trim off the thread. And that is the Green Adams. You can flare out the tail at the end. An easier way to do that is taking it out of the vise, just kind of pulling the feathers out a bit.